Grounded is one of my favorite games that gives you the unique experience of being the size of an ant and stuck in your backyard. But that doesn't mean it's a perfect game. Here are 5 things I would change about Grounded. And a quick note, these are things already in the game I would change, not things I would add to the game. That's a different video, so keep an eye out for that. In no particular order, the first thing I would change about Grounded is in regards to the multiplayer options. There's 2 things specifically. The first is the number of players. Currently, you can only have 4 players in one multiplayer game, but if you're like me, your friend group exceeds that number. Maybe not by a lot, but still, I need at least 5, perhaps 6, but increasing it to however many you want would be ideal. The second thing about multiplayer is the host system. Currently it works like this. You and your friends each want to play Grounded together, so one of you has to host the game while everyone else joins your game. The issue with this is obvious. What happens when the host isn't available to play? Easy. No one gets to play. Without the host keeping the world open on their system, no one will be able to join. This is a huge problem when you have friends living in different time zones or parts of the world in general. I'd love to see worlds being hosted the same way Minecraft has realms, worlds that are always online. The only caveat is the day-night cycle. That should stop when no one is in the game. Number 2 is resource management. In their defense, this is something they're working on. In the latest update, Hot and Hazy, we saw an overhaul that introduced a new system wherein you can spend resources found in the game to increase your inventory carrying capacity. I personally think this was a home run. Everything about it is brilliant, apart from 2 things. The first is the increased arrow carrying option. We should have just gotten the ability to craft quivers instead of attaching it to this new system. It would make a lot more sense. Personally, I haven't, and I won't be spending any points into increased arrows. It's just not worth it. And second is outside of the inventory, and I mean planks and stems. Normally, you can haul around 5 to 8 planks or stems in-game. The problem I constantly run into is the cost of resources to build, coupled with the distance between the build site and the harvest site. If I want to build a stem wall and it costs, let's say for this example, 4 stems to build a single wall. At best, I can move 8 stems across the yard to build 2 walls. Now, if what I'm building has 100 walls, you can quickly see I'll have to make around 50 round trips just to build this wall. If each trip takes 5 minutes between travel time, harvesting time, and building time, then you can already see it'll take 250 minutes to build this one wall. That's over 4 hours. A little trick you can do, however, is to bring a pallet with you. You can move 21 stems in a pallet plus the 8 you can carry for a total of 29 stems in one trip. However, you cannot run while relocating a pallet, so that 5-minute trip will increase to something closer to 8 or 9 minutes. 29 stems would build 7.25 walls, which would become 13.79 round trips, which becomes 124 minutes, or just over 2 hours. How do we fix this? Either give us a way to carry stems and planks in the inventory, increase the pallet holding size exponentially, or let us utilize the zip lines more efficiently, sending entire pallets at once, or creating some kind of cable car to haul large numbers of planks and stems. My number 3 change is in regards to building specifically. If you've spent any time building in the game, you've probably noticed a distinct limit to how far out you can place the building blueprints, both horizontally and vertically. This is something I would change for sure. I find myself spending a lot of time switching between screens to place 2 blueprints down for a floor because that's as far as I can reach. You can set 2 floor blueprints, then you have to construct the floor so you can go out far enough to place 2 more blueprints. Rinse and repeat. Instead, I would alter this so that if you're pointing at a current blueprint or existing building, it would allow the next blueprint to be laid out next to it based on the side of the object you're looking at. Effectively, a floor can be divided into 4 rhombuses with a square in the center. If you're pointing at the rhombus on the left, it'll snap the next blueprint to be on the left-hand side. Same for the right, top, and bottom, with the center square being for placing directly on top. This should allow us to place blueprints 4 or 5 out at once, saving us some screen swapping time in the process. As for vertically, I'd have everything revolve around the topmost and bottommost sections. Take ladders for example. You can't build while on a ladder, so you can only really build ladders about 2 to 3 tall before you have to build another way to climb up and down so you can reach the top of the ladder. It doesn't make any sense. We shouldn't need to build several ways up and down just to get one of the ways complete. Instead, I would change it so looking at the bottom ladder with the ladder blueprint automatically sets the blueprint at the top. And to build that ladder, you perform the construction on that same bottom ladder. It's as if you've climbed to the top with the resources to build it. Problem solved. Number 4 has to do with the insect AI and the difficulty levels. As I've pointed out in a previous video, the difficulty of the game affects combat in 2 regards. First, the insects have more health, and the amount of damage dealt and received is changed to better reflect the difficulty you've chosen. This is a fine way to handle this. However, something many players have noticed is the AI of the insects doesn't change. The way a bug or spider fights you is identical across the difficulties. Because you can combat the insects with enough skill, you can prevent the insects from harming you or just dodging their attacks. I'm a big fan of this personally, but I would make one change. The difficulty should also change the combat AI of the insects. They should get more attacks, move quicker, and generally be more challenging to fight. As it stands, if you are good enough to block or dodge every attack on easy, then you are also good enough to block or dodge every attack on the hardest difficulties. It'll only require more time to deal all that extra damage needed to defeat the insects. And my number 5 change is a minor one, but something I'd love to see. I want the ability to rearrange the items on the data screen page. There's a story in Grounded, but the game doesn't lead you through the story, and you can find a huge number of items, research notes, and tapes hidden throughout the backyard, and you can find them in any kind of order. There's nothing that makes you visit a specific research lab or hidden outpost in a specific order. So, for those of us who want to piece the story together, we have to manually click through each item, remember where each one is on the page, and mentally map out the proper order to learn how the story unfolds chronologically. I'd simply like to be able to move them around into the order I believe the story goes. Let me be the detective and solve the mystery. And that's it! Those are the 5 things I would change first about Grounded. Be sure to let me know in the comments below if you agree with or disagree with any of the changes I would make. Also, I'd love to hear about any changes you'd make to the game as well. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to leave it a like so I know, subscribe for more Grounded content, and for anyone interested in early access to all of my videos, there's a Patreon link in the description. So, as always, leave a like if you liked, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.